All right, let's get right into it. A handful of brand new, never-before-seen emails have just dropped, connecting Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in ways we just haven't seen before. So what do they actually say? We're going to cut through all the noise and break down exactly what's in them piece by piece.
So that's the big question on everyone's mind, right? What do these new emails really tell us about Donald Trump's relationship with Epstein? There's so much speculation flying around, so let's just focus on what the documents themselves reveal. So this all kicked off on November 12th, 2025. The House Oversight Committee released what seemed like a small batch of documents from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, and, well, they basically set off a political bomb. And look, we're not talking about old stuff that's been rehashed. The release was focused on just 3 emails, but what was in them, it was so explosive that they immediately took over the entire news cycle. Okay, so let's dive into the actual evidence. The first email is pretty cryptic, and it centers on this really strange phrase Epstein used when he was talking about Trump. So this first email, it makes a really specific and pretty shocking claim that Donald Trump spent hours with one of Epstein's victims. And here it is, the actual quote. It's from an April 2011 email from Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. He writes, "I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." Now, the White House later came out and identified the victim being mentioned here as Virginia Giuffre. Okay, but if you thought that was something, the next email is wow. It's even more direct. This one was written in 2019, and it's got Epstein's single most controversial claim about what he says Trump knew. In a message he sent to the author Michael Wolff, Epstein just comes right out and says it. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. I mean, that's the bombshell right there. It's a direct claim that completely contradicts years and years of public denials. And then there's the third email, which kind of pulls the curtain back on the whole thing even more. It shows that this information wasn't just known, it was actually being discussed as a potential weapon, for political leverage. And you got to look at the timing on this one. It's December 2015. Trump is in the middle of his first presidential run, and Michael Wolff writes this to Epstein. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. So they were openly talking strategy about how Trump's denials could be used against him. So you can see why the release of these emails creates a massive problem for Donald Trump. It's because they clash, head-on, with his own public statements. A story that, let's be honest, has changed pretty dramatically over the years. I mean, just look at this timeline. It really shows you how the story has shifted. You go from 2002, where he's calling Epstein a terrific guy, to their friendship ending a couple years later. Then fast forward to 2019, and it's a total 180. I was not a fan, I had no idea. And now, in response to these emails, the whole thing is just a hoax. And this is where it gets really stark. When you put them side by side like this, well, the contradiction is just impossible to ignore. On one side, you have Epstein's private email from 2019 saying Trump knew about the girls. And on the other, you have Trump's public statement from the very same year, "No, I had no idea." This is the conflict that's at the absolute heart of this whole controversy. So, as you can probably guess, the second these emails hit the public, this thing became a total political football. Both sides immediately started using the documents to push their own message. So here's basically how it all went down. You had the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee dropping those 3 key emails. Ranking member Robert Garcia said they raised glaring questions. Then, in response, the Republicans just opened the floodgates and released a way bigger set of over 20,000 documents. The White House shot back, calling the first release a selectively leaked smear job, and made sure to point out that Virginia Giuffre herself has said Trump wasn't involved in any wrongdoing. Okay, so this brings up something that's actually super important, and honestly a little confusing for a lot of people. We keep hearing this term, the Epstein Files. But what does that actually mean? Right, so when you hear people talking about the Epstein Files, it's really important to know what that actually is. It's not some single secret client list like you see in the movies. It's really just a catch-all term for this massive collection of documents from all the different legal cases against Epstein and his crew. So, what are we talking about then? What's actually in these files? Well, it's everything from his contact books, like the famous Black Book, to flight logs from his private jets, official court documents, sworn testimony from depositions, and, yeah, private emails, just like the ones we've been looking at. It's this huge, sprawling web of information. And just so you know where this latest batch comes from, a lot of the documents being unsealed now are from that 2015 defamation lawsuit that Virginia Giuffre filed against Ghislaine Maxwell. The reason we're seeing them now is because of years and years of legal fights to get them unsealed for the public. So where does all this leave us? Well, the truth is these new emails don't give us a final slam dunk answer. What they do is present some pretty serious allegations from a convicted sex offender that directly contradict what the president has said publicly. They don't prove what happened, but they absolutely make the mystery deeper, and they leave us with one big pressing question. In this ongoing search for accountability, what on earth is going to be revealed next?